Today, I'm going to conjure up a recap of James Wan's Conjuring series, one of the most successful scary movie franchises in all of history. With a legacy that has garnered millions of dollars and weaves together a story that spans hundreds of years. This is The Conjuring Universe on Franchise Taxonomy. This is The Conjuring, the one by legendary director Georges Méliès from 1896. It was called Sens de Prestidigitation in its original French title, translating to Conjuring Session. It shows Georges Méliès, the first wizard of cinema, using the groundbreaking technique at the time, the stop trick, to summon a demon head prop from one container to another, and the only scene that survived from a minute-long film that came from the imagination of Georges, whom I could go into detail about his life for hours and hours. But all you have to know is that he was a man who was always looking to find new and innovative ways to captivate his audience, and maybe even scare them too. I think James Wan is his spiritual successor. If you know James, you know that he's a man who's been telling stories in some of the most innovative ways today. In my opinion, he's the technical genius. He's like a gymnast who does the same tricks and moves everyone else does, but since he's the best gymnast, he makes them look cooler. Though James Wan only directed 2 films on the Conjuring universe, he produced the rest and helped manage the universe alongside Peter Safran. Every film is entirely based on true events, folklore, or pure Catholic dogma. The Conjuring is kinda like the MCU. You have your main event movies that connect everything in a broader sense, and then you have your spin-offs that tell side stories and let other characters have screen time to shine. Unlike the Avengers, the first film in this franchise was actually a main movie. The Conjuring came out in 2013 and introduced us to Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga's legendary characters, inspired by real-life demonologist power couple Ed and Lorraine Warren. The two face off alongside the Perron family against a witch demon that is haunting the property and trying to force their mother to kill her own children. This movie has it all: blood, jump scares, creepy leg pulling, God mocking.
This man is an insult to the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Tracking long shots, animal spirituality, and good old-fashioned male-to-male and woman-to-woman conversation. Only James Wan could pull off having angelic music playing at the end of an exorcism the way he did. He can be predictable, but when he is, it's beautiful. Even though the first movie focuses heavily on the demon Bathsheba, there's a scene in which we see that the Warrens have a trophy room filled with various artifacts from their previous investigations. One of those gets a few more seconds of screen time than the rest. I'm talking about that ugly doll Annabelle, also inspired by a real-world, less ugly doll by the same name. Annabelle got her first spin-off in 2014, where we discovered her origins and found out why Annabelle became a murder doll, or vessel for a demon. I'm gonna be honest, this movie is not that great. The doll only moves once during the entire movie. I know it's not Chucky, but the main focus is almost never the doll whom the movie is named after. She's so ugly. The Conjuring 2 came out in 2016 and proved yet again what a fantastic director James Wan is. This new story follows Ed and Lorraine and their mission to help a family from London who's being cursed by another demon. But this time, it's an evil nun demon. They did manage to expel the demon and prevent Lorraine's vision of Ed's death from happening. Did I also mention that the first part of the movie recounts the events of the Amityville hauntings? Because the first part of the movie recounts the events of the Amityville hauntings. Annabelle's origins are revisited yet again in Annabelle Creation, the 2017 sequel to the first Annabelle movie. But this time, the movie is actually good. The story takes place 12 years before the first Annabelle movie and acts as a prequel, revealing that the demon Malthus, who uses the doll as a conduit, only attacks every 12 years. This movie is great and is a step in the right direction. The film received more praise and director David F. Sandberg catapulted his career in Hollywood. I love this man too. He went on to make Shazam, another great movie from another franchise. The spin-offs don't end there. The Nun Demon, Valak's origins are explored in the film titled The Nun from 2018. Taking place in 1950s Romania, the story revolves around a castle that acts as a barrier between our reality and hell, and the Vatican-funded group sent there to investigate it. The group consists of Father Burke, a crossword-loving gentle priest, Sister Irene, a soon-to-be nun who loves teaching. Wait a minute. Is that... Yes, Sister Irene is played by Taissa Farmiga. actress Vera Farmiga's younger sister, who also plays Lorraine. And they look alike, like uncannily alike, like pretty much a carbon copy. And Frenchie, a random man who with no backstory, that they pay to take them there. The Nun has got to be the loudest scary movie I've ever seen, but it's okay.
No one left. We have our answer, Father. As if there was any doubt before, this place is no longer home.
The Curse of La Llorona gave us the first never-before-seen entity in 2019. The movie tells the story of a mother who is trying to protect her children from the Mexican folk legend, La Llorona, a ghost lady whose only purpose in death is to drown children, god damn it. And if it weren't for a single character who appeared in the first Annabelle movie, I wouldn't have guessed this movie to be in the Conjuring universe at all. And neither did most people. This film was never advertised as a part of the larger cinematic world. This movie is actually insane though. The mom, played by Linda Cardellini, wrestles La Llorona underwater in a scene that would be fit in any James Bond movie. She also lets them watch Scooby-Doo, which is a bit meta. And everybody acts like nothing happened after everything they went through at the end of the movie. Annabelle, in classic Iron Man fashion, got her third movie before The Conjuring even did. This film shows us how Annabelle, the doll, terrorizes Warren's daughter, Judy, and her babysitters. One of the teenage girls watching over Judy is pretty much the worst person ever and actually causes the events of the movie to happen. No worries here though. No one dies, and in classic Conjuring style, everyone lives happily ever after. This film does show us one big important thing though. Judy managed to face off against more demons and ghosts in one night than Ed and Lorraine have managed at any time. She spent the whole night solving clues and running away from actual evil trying to murder her and the other girls, only to have a fun little birthday party the next day. I think Judy deserves her own movie. The next film is The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, which tells the story of the only known case in the United States where a demonic possession was taken into consideration by a court in the hearing of a murder. This movie, although not directed by James Wan, had to push back its release date because of the pandemic. Actually, it feels refreshing to watch. Ed and Lorraine are more involved than ever, and we see the couple actually having to face the reality of growing older and not being able to do as much physically demanding demonology. The villain of this film, however, is the entirely human Satanist group led by an old librarian-looking lady with the power of genius strategy. The woman managed to ruin lives and endanger several people right before the power of love once again, especially through Ed and Lorraine, won the day and defeated evil. The movie is pretty great and brings back the Satanist cult we saw in the first Annabelle installment. This might not be the superhero blockbuster franchise many would expect, but the films have a strong sense of adventure and heart. They tell virtuous stories with plenty of gore, grit, and eeriness to go around. Ed and Lorraine are the ultimate hashtag couple goals, and the scariness of each film transcends beyond the horror. The Conjuring franchise is a staple of all cinema and reminds us of the wonders that can be achieved through filmmaking. And remember, most of these movies are based on true stories.